Welcome to Karpool with Kirsten, about their empowerment. Show of extraordinary women, share extraordinary stories. My guest today had about 4 careers: aviation, digital media, back when nobody in this region had a word for it, and a creative agency in B3. And now, she says the one that actually matters the most. Kat Lebrasse launched Lebrasse.com in 2013, and she spent a decade being called and influenced by people who had never checked what she actually does. She's a senior brand strategist, and she has sat across the table from some of the biggest names in the region and negotiated. But that's not why we're in this van today. We're here for what she's building now, and it's called re.her. It's about the thing that women in their 30s and 40s are quietly searching for at 3 in the morning, telling absolutely nobody about: brain fog, exhaustion, and mood shifts. The version of yourself that you cannot find anymore. And if everybody's telling you that it's just stress, it's usually not just stress. Please welcome to the Karpool, Kat Lebrasse. Kat, welcome to the Karpool.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's jump in.
Okay.
For those of our viewers that don't know who you are, how would you introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Kat Lebrasse. I have been in Dubai for coming up to 22 years. Born and raised in Australia, but my parents are from Mauritius. So a little bit of a tropical expat kind of background even as a kid. Moving to Dubai, I started here as cabin crew with Emirates Airlines. So I did that for 10 years. Fell pregnant with my first baby, pivoted out of that industry and started working kind of in the social media industry at the time, more on my own kind of platform as Kat Lebrasse, and then eventually starting my own businesses in that industry as well. More recently, I've pivoted out of managing agency lives and managing a team, and have focused on something that's a little bit more, I guess, a passion project, but something that I really, really believe in. And it's creating a community for women that are entering midlife, perimenopause, menopause are entry points for that, but that whole transitional period for a woman where it's not being discussed as well as I think it probably could be, and kind of showing women that that can be an incredible part of your life and not a declining part of your life.
Okay, before we unpack
Yes.
Kat that we know today,
Yes.
let's start at the Kat
Yeah.
back then. Okay, so Australian born.
Yep.
Your parents decided, let's move to Dubai.
No. So I moved to Dubai. So, I'm a bit older than you probably. I moved to Dubai when I was almost 23.
Okay.
So I came here on my own. My parents actually met in Australia. So they're both Mauritian, but they moved to Australia and met in Australia. They still live in Australia. And I wanted to travel. I wanted to see a bit more of the world. Australia, I'm sure, as you all know, is great. It's beautiful, but it's really far away from kind of everything else. And I had this absolute burning need to see so much more of the world and to experience other cultures, ethnicities, religions. And so that brought me to Dubai.
What made you choose Dubai in particular to relocate?
At the time, 22 years ago, it was a very different Dubai. But I found it fascinating in, the developments that it already was in terms of being a country that was innovating and having so much opportunity. The traditional thing for Australians to do is to move to London. Like, there's so many Aussies that go from Australia to London, and even Canada as well is a big one for Aussies. But at the time, there was something calling me to Dubai. The idea of becoming cabin crew was something that I felt like I could really resonate with. I was like, this sounds like a fun way to see the world, until I figure out what I want to do next. I was still, early 20s, so I had time to figure it out. So I thought, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the journey in cabin crew, aviation?
Yeah, look, I loved it actually. I did a good 10 years. And I think had I not fallen pregnant with my first child, I probably would have stuck around for a bit longer as well. I just didn't want to be a mum that was always away when I had her. But as an experience at that age in my life, amazing. I would do it absolutely again.
Yeah.
It was really fun. It taught me a lot. I got to see so much of it. I think I've flown to something like 56 countries that I visited, and it's a really kind of cushiony way to do it, because you obviously are being paid.
Everything's taken
your
care of.
hotel is taken care of, your per diems are taken care of, your accommodation here is taken care of. So it's almost like a soft entry into adulthood. Yeah, exactly.
And then you pivoted from aviation to digital media.
Exactly.
What sparked that change? Was it the birth of your child and then deciding that, like, okay, I need a new chapter, but something
Yeah.
that's practical.
I actually started that journey before I left Emirates. I
Okay.
started doing that about a year or two before I left. So I think I had been blogging, and that's what we called it back then. I think I had been blogging for about a year or two when I got pregnant with my daughter Puppy. The journey into it was literally a light bulb moment. So I was falling asleep one night, and I was thinking about the fact that I wasn't using my creativity kind of in the current role that I was in, and that I had been more of a voice that I felt like I wasn't using. I was falling asleep one night, and I quite literally sat up and thought, I'm going to start a blog. And and I grabbed a notepad and a pen, and I started writing down ideas immediately. I had no idea how. I didn't know how to build a website. Instagram wasn't huge back then yet, but I thought I'll figure it out. So
Don't you just think that the most innovative ideas come from those midnight calls?
absolutely, several ideas. I mean, my current idea is also a similar kind of idea where I woke up one night, but why aren't I doing something about it? And then it got created. Yeah.
And I think that so many people have these ingenious ideas in the middle of the night, but it's the ones that are successful are the ones that get up in the middle of the night and say, okay, let's get the show and
Let's get
do
started.
this. Exactly. Yeah. But others just let it be a dream and they leave it at that, and then it stays there and it dies.
Exactly.
And it takes a lot of strength to say, like, okay, you know what? This idea was given to me for a reason.
Yeah.
Let me now put in the effort to execute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well done to you.
Yeah.
Think of how your life has changed.
I literally spent the next 3 months on YouTube for building a website for dummies.
Really?
I had no idea. So, but yeah, that's how I essentially created.
I'm sure back then it was a lot more complex.
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean
is
now it's quite
with
plug and
AI,
play. Yeah,
everything
exactly.
is just so much more accessible. It's so much
100%.
easier to do, and I mean the fact that you still taught yourself those
Yeah.
skills in order to give yourself this tool that you needed in order to
Exactly.
scale. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
And then when you went into digital media, obviously you decided that that wasn't enough to just blog or to be a stereotypical influencer.
Yeah.
You took it further after that.
I think it was a natural progression. It wasn't even so much that I thought it wasn't enough, but the market wasn't super saturated back then. There wasn't a lot of bloggers. And I keep saying bloggers because influencer didn't exist as a term yet. It did come along, obviously, a couple of years later. But there weren't a lot of us, and we all knew each other, and we were all friendly, and we all supported each other, and we tried to help each other. And it got to a point kind of where then other businesses were kind of like, we don't know what we're doing when it comes to that industry or digital media, and you guys as bloggers and influencers now seem to have a better understanding of this. So can we pick your brain? And it was, I was being asked to sit in on some annual general meetings in some corporate organizations to kind of essentially just give my opinion or give my learnings. And then small businesses as well. Would you help me, or what do you think we should post if we're a business like this? And that kind of sparked the idea of, well, why aren't I doing that as well?
Yeah.
Like there's, I had the capacity to essentially continue doing what I was doing, but also help businesses as well. So I thought, okay, why not? And that sort of started in a way that I had a really good friend. He had an agency, and he had a client that he was taking on, and he was kind of at capacity for taking on as many as he could at the time. And he said, well, why don't you come and join me for a bit and take this client on as a 6-month retainer and see if you like doing it.
Yeah.
And then we can see what happens. I was like, okay, great. So I did that. So I took that on for 6 months. By the end of the 6 months, I actually then fell pregnant with my son. And I was like, okay, need to figure out what the next steps are now. Now it's 2 kids. And so we had that discussion, and eventually he said, okay, well, why don't we partner up on this? Like, why don't we make this our agency and move forward? So we did that for a few years. Eventually it got to a place where, to be quite transparent, life changed a lot for me in that period. My sister is very ill. I had a lot going on at home, and I really didn't feel like I could commit the same level that he could commit. And I don't think it's fair if you're a partner with somebody if you're not giving an equal amount, if you're equal partners. So at some point we decided that it was best for me to take, to move on and take something separately. Still very, 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 very close friends, incredible human. And so then that's when I started Collab. And that's my agency, which is the digital media agency. Yeah.
I mean, obviously you making a mature decision to part ways, just purely out of the fact that like I can't give you what you need and I can't meet you halfway, so it's only fair that I let you succeed and I will figure out.
Succeed. He's doing so well.
I feel like that is a very valuable skill to have, because a lot of the times in any industry, I can't even like pinpoint it, but people are tend to be selfish with success.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
something
true.
that we really trying to break these
Yeah.
days, especially in empowerment, is that there's enough room for everyone at the top. Because the day and the age that we live in, everyone's just trying to chase the next high, they're trying to chase success, and they kind of like gatekeep.
Yeah, and some people step on a lot of other people to get there as
Yes.
well, which is really unnecessary.
It's and I don't think that it's a fair thing, especially like in the women's empowerment like ecosystem. I feel like everyone should just be able to help one another.
Yeah.
The fact that you actually made a mature decision in order to let someone else have their own success, like figure things out. Like I really think that that's. I'm really proud of you for that, but also I'm really inspired because there's not as many good people in the world, and to find like a good one is fun. So I really like that.
Thanks.
But back to your story.
Yeah.
So then you started your own
Yes.
cravings.
So then I started my own, and I had a very small team. We were a team of myself and two to start with, and eventually three. And that went on for about 4 years. So it was honestly really good. At one point, I think we had 22 clients between a tiny team of 4, which was great, but also extremely stressful. So it does become, it's great. And obviously, there's a version of entrepreneurship, I think, where we see more as better, more staff, a bigger office, more revenue, more clients. But it did get to a point, and again, for personal reasons in my life, it got to a point where I thought more doesn't feel like better right now.
What's that's more money, more problems.
Yes, yeah, it can be. Yeah. And it's entrepreneurship isn't for everyone.
No.
Right. And I do think it is for me, but at the same time, at the place where I wasn't feeling it anymore. And I do think you don't have to stay stuck in something just because you created it.
Yeah.
So just because I created this platform, this agency, do I have to stay stuck in exactly the way that I created it, or can I pivot? Can I change it? Can I make it what it now works for me? So that was kind of the idea behind moving away from it in the traditional sense of an agency.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because obviously you pivoted.
Yeah.
A couple times.
Yes, lots of times.
And it takes a lot of courage for you to make that decision. But were you ever afraid of like, am I going to be judged with this? Am I?
100%.
Okay, so but you just said, you know what?
Yeah.
It's not your life. I'm
Yeah.
going to do whatever feels right for me, and then you just went along.
Exactly. And look, I think especially women, because we do worry, we do care about what a lot of other people think, but ultimately don't stay stuck in something, or don't stay steadfast on something just because it's what other people expect of you, or just because you created it and you think you can't change your mind. You can change your mind. Like money. Yeah.
You mentioned entrepreneurship, and I just want to touch base on that for a second because I love the fact that you said entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, and it's very glamorized online.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Like I have my own business, I have my own brand, I have my own company, and everyone thinks you just sit in the office all day and just read.
Well, they go for lunch. Aren't you at lunch?
Yeah.
Pilates? No?
Yeah. Oftentimes, because everyone always thinks that, like the person driving in the Porsche
Yeah.
and going to Pilates and
Yeah.
going to lunch and having their hair done and their nails done on
Yeah.
time, like that's the people that are successful, and it's often not the case.
No.
I feel like the entrepreneurs are the ones that are crashing out
Yeah.
at 2 in the morning.
Yes.
How am I going to pay the staff? Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to do this? Do I say yes to this partnership? I feel like it's not actually as glamorous as
No.
portrayed online, and that the new generation, and also in terms of social media, has painted this picture that it's like
Yeah.
the way to go.
Absolutely.
And they discriminate 9 to 5 in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your views?
Look, and there's different levels of entrepreneurship as well. There are, and again, and this is, I guess, where I pivoted, but there's the entrepreneurship where you have a business and you have a team of 20, 40, 100. And then there's the entrepreneurship where you work for yourself and you have no team and you're creating a business, and it's service oriented, or it's product oriented, or it's coaching, or whatever it might be. So there's different levels of entrepreneurship, and that also can be glamorized in different ways, right? Look, there is something to be said for not answering to someone else. 100%. That's lovely. Having your own autonomy is incredible. But the lack of stability is extremely scary.
Mm-hmm.
The ownership of, if you are somebody that's an entrepreneur that has a team, paid staff, overheads, expenses, making sure you can balance the books, paying tax, filing corporate tax, like there's no end to the amount of things that need to get done on a daily basis.
Especially if you micromanage as well.
Yep. And then if you're a mom as well, that's another, I mean, I feel like that's entrepreneurship in itself as
That's
well,
a
by
whole
the
other
way.
job.
And then if you're a single mom, that's a whole different level.
It's not easy, guys.
So look, there's a lot, I think, to it. The glamorization of it, I think, is, look, there are some really powerful, incredible women that have created businesses that are very glamorous and that are doing really well, but they had to fight all their way up to get there by the time it got glamorous.
I think that, speaking of it, like you said, there are really successful women in every single industry, and they are glamorous and they're always poised and put together. But I think you and I can show the truth that it's not like that.
No.
That was just the camera angle,
Yeah.
and probably
And hair and makeup.
Yes.
Yeah.
And probably an hour before that, there was a crash out involved. There was a crying spectacle that happened.
Yeah.
And it's just what we choose to portray to the public that it controls the narrative.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like any entrepreneur is actually put together. I mean, we are the ones that were crazy enough to step out of the social norm and decide that we are going to build something as opposed to work for something.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a very bad stigmatism around it. But
Right.
in thinking that it's easy.
Yeah.
That it's I mean, this is not to discourage anyone from
No, of course
entrepreneurship,
not. Of
because
course not.
there are benefits to it, and it's incredibly self-fulfilling
Yes.
when you see that momentum in your platform. But I mean, it's still not easy. It's the
absolutely.
road that you take that's probably the hardest that you could have. And like you said, if you're a single mom, on top of that, that's like working a million jobs in one day, and it's tiring. Speaking of being tiring,
Yes.
and having all these things going on,
Yes.
I mean, if you say the brain fog, the exhaustion, the mood swings, all of this, it's just comes with the life that I've chosen.
Yep.
And you didn't believe this when you were told that.
Listen, I think as women, we can find 100 reasons for why we might feel depleted.
Sure.
Work is busy, parents are aging, kids are hectic, have to plan for school, mental load, etc., etc., etc. You can give yourself so many reasons as to why you might feel tired, as to why your brain is exhausted, as to why you don't sleep well. It could be so many things. But when you break it down at a certain age as well, if you're adding so many of these things together, maybe it's not just because of your daily life.
Yeah.
Also, maybe it is, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you've got 6 symptoms and you've definitely got perimenopause. There are definitely elements to consider in total, right? Diet, exercise, etc., etc. But for me, I got to a point, so I'm now 44, and in, I would say, the last several years, so not even just 1 year, 2 years, in the last several years, there have definitely been changes to myself. And I'm quite a reflective person, so I really journal every night. I take the time to consider what is going on with myself, and I started to notice some patterns. And I think that's probably my biggest advice for women: is don't ignore your symptoms, but don't automatically assume either. Journal, take it down, and make some notes so that you can recognize when they start to turn up as patterns. You go, okay, this is maybe not because the kids are hectic. It's maybe not because my parents are getting older and I'm worried, or it's not because work is really, really busy. Maybe it's because my hormones are out of balance, or etc. Look, aging is a tough one. Men
But
and
it's
women.
inevitable.
Yeah, it is inevitable. And men have it hard as well in their own way. They've got other things going on. But as a woman, there are a lot of things that I feel like we're maybe not educated on, or maybe not informed. Educated is not the right word. Informed enough on. And I think that's where this desire for me to create what I've created, which is re.her, came from. There's information, but what do I do with that information? How do I apply that information to myself? Who am I asking these questions to? Where are the experts about this? What practitioner should I see? Is it a practitioner that I should see? Should I take a more holistic approach? What are my options? And realistically, until I literally opened that door, I had no idea what I was even going to be looking at. And now I feel like it's a floodgate. It is so much information.
Yeah.
And so eye-opening that I think I just want everybody else to know it too,
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that maybe women are discouraged to talk about it out of shame? Or
Yes.
maybe it's early premenopause and they're like, oh, I'm so young, why am I going through
I don't just think it, I know that, because with the community that I've created, I still see that. I still have many women who won't comment, for example, on Instagram. They won't put a comment on the post, but they'll DM and they'll tell me an entire life story, but they won't comment about it because they don't really want other people to see. And I understand that, and I can respect that. But it's still this. It feels like this shameful thing, and I think part of the reason for that is that we were always taught as women to endure.
Yeah.
Right. Not let, not push, not make ourselves feel better. Just endure it. It's part of life. Just get on with it. You know, I speak to older women, so women in their 60s and 70s, and they talk about when they went through perimenopause, menopause, and bearing in mind back then, perimenopause, again, as a term, didn't really exist. It was menopause. And even the definition of that now is so different. And they say they literally were told, just get on with it. Push through. Well, it's just a hot flush.
Yeah.
You'll cool off in a second. It's not just a hot flush. It's so many things. There's hundreds of symptoms that you could be experiencing, and every woman is different. And just because my experience is different to yours, it doesn't mean that mine is more valid than yours.
Yeah.
You know.
And then when obviously women started gravitating towards you and actually like you could tell that there was a need for this in the community.
Yes.
Is that when you had the like, okay, I'm on the right track?
Yes, absolutely.
And you decided to go
100%. I mean, I had it in mind, so I guess I had the concept in my mind for at least a year or so. Again, woke up one night, thought I'm going to create this, wrote the notes, and then got very sidetracked with life. But had started building it, kind of, in the quiet moments, and built little bits and pieces. And I'll be really honest, I had imposter syndrome. No one's going to want to look at this. No one's going to care. People aren't going to want to talk about it. They'll feel too embarrassed to share. And so I kind of parked it. Like, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Like, it's just extra time that I'm going to have to commit to something. And then what if it doesn't do well? What if?
Yes.
Right. And then I woke up again one evening, not so long ago, literally a few months ago. And I thought, hey, no, I'm doing it. And quite literally, I'm doing it. I spent the entire day. It was Eid, so I had a couple of hours to spare, thankfully. I spent the entire day building out the first part of what I wanted to create. And I scheduled it and I went for it the next day. I was like, done. I can't turn back now. I've started.
Before we continue with that, you mentioned imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And that is one of my favorite topics to cover because I feel like it's not widely spoken about. Because why would you openly tell people that you don't feel confident and that you feel like you don't belong here? Because then you're completely shattering the image that you have created. So there's not a lot of people that openly talk about having imposter syndrome.
I'm quite open to say it because ultimately I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical expert. The information that I'm sharing is information I've researched from other people.
Yeah.
So I certainly can't sit behind my cute little platform and prescribe anything for other people. But what I can do is share my experiences. I can share information that I've been given. But with that, people are like, well, what makes you the expert? I'm not. And so there is that sense of slight imposter syndrome because it certainly isn't my overall experience or my overall knowledge that I'm sharing. It's everybody else's experience.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of, I guess, overcame the imposter syndrome, is remembering that I'm not trying to tell people what they should do. I'm trying to give people lots of information so they can make an informed decision about what they would like to do.
Yeah. You also just mentioned that like some people would approach you but kind of like dismissing you because you're not a doctor.
Yeah.
What do you know? Right?
Yeah.
You just search these things.
Yeah.
Like, you're not qualified to talk about this.
Yeah.
With everything that someone does in a grand scale, they're always going to be made with some sort of like dismissal. Does that ever like discourage you from continuing, or does it like add as fuel to keep going?
Doesn't discourage me at all. It somewhat adds fuel, but it also it drives me a little bit more in a positive way to ensure I've got accurate and relevant information and that I do have the science to back it up, or I do have the medical experts, quotes to back it up. It's not just my opinion. It's not just something I chat GPT or, whatnot. So in a sense, I think it makes me better. I don't mind the criticism because it makes me better in a sense that I know that I can go and find that information and make sure it's correct and not just throw away statements or
I mean, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, but everyone that I've spoken to that has that mentality as an entrepreneur tend to be the ones that are most successful because like we just spoke about earlier, it's very glamorous in today's day and age and everyone wants to be a business owner, right? But it takes a lot of backbone in order to actually put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times when something goes wrong, someone says it's not going to work, someone like rejects you or anything, a lot of times people that don't have a strong backbone, they collapse at the mission fails. And for you to actually have a mentality of, you know what, I'm not going to take this as you judging my character or like judging me. I'm going to use this as constructive criticism to better the model so that your feedback would become valuable. Because technically, you've just made me better.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Exactly.
And it takes a lot because a lot of the time people don't like to hear, people don't like to be told you're wrong, right? And a
Or
lot
I
of
don't like what you're doing, or etc.
exactly. So it takes a lot to actually say, okay, why? Why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Mental notes, and then move on and build it better.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the times that when you are stagnant, it's because you're not willing to make changes. And if you're not willing to make changes, you're never going to grow, and you're never going to reach the place that or your potential. So it's always important to apply the feedback that you get from clients, from your audience, in order to not only better it for yourself, but for them as well. So well done.
Yeah.
And then after you discovered, all the facts you needed about menopause, started speaking more openly about it. Doing that in the GCC, was there never any amount of fear?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I feel like it's certainly not, we're literally talking about women's hormonal health.
Yeah.
And not just hormonal health, just women's feminine health.
Yeah.
Right? And that isn't something that we talk about very loudly in the GCC, right? We don't, I still say to my friends, I laugh because they'll say, do you have a tampon? And I'm like, what? But you can say it normally. Like, why are we whispering?
Yeah.
Got my period. Why are we whispering?
Why?
Why do we do that?
Why?
I don't know.
It's normal. I think everybody knows
Every
that this is a
woman
common thing.
has to go
Yes.
through it. Every single one of us. Why is it a secret?
Yeah, why are we like, can you check in your bag if you have one? Like,
and then we like
yeah.
hide it between our hands.
Do you have a
Why?
tampon? Do you have a pad? Like, what do you have?
Sorry, so I don't subscribe to that. I'm not going to whisper
Absolutely.
about my health,
Absolutely.
about something that happens to every single woman. And so, it's almost like, again, it became one of those things. I was like, yeah, look, I know I'm going to get some resistance from the region to talk about this really openly, but I also know that there will be women, even women that are from the GCC themselves, that will openly welcome this. Because I do think it is something that amongst themselves, in their own spaces, they want to talk about. Maybe not in the middle of a panel discussion, maybe not. And maybe they'd like to hear it from other people. And I think that's okay as well, right? So, and this is what I was saying, on the platform currently, there are people that will openly share their stories in comments, they'll reshare stories and on their own Instagrams. And there are many women that still aren't there yet. And when they write me their story, I say to them, thank you for sharing. Are you comfortable with me sharing this? I don't have to put your name, because every story helps another woman.
Yes.
Or another 100 women, or who knows, right? Many are still like them. Even without my name, I'm not comfortable. Please don't share. But again, it's that shame, I guess, because maybe they feel like that makes them weak, because they're showing that they're not coping as well as maybe what they could. But then there are a lot of women that are like, yeah, please share. I'll tell you every detail. Like, come and interview me, and I'll tell you everything, right? So that's great as well. I don't judge either way. I think the more that we speak about it, maybe the more that the women aren't comfortable yet will come forward. But I've also found that, I have to be an advocate for sharing. So I have to share my experiences in order for other people to feel comfortable to share theirs. So I've shared some really personal moments. I've shared, I filmed myself in a car a while back. It was a really bad day, and I wanted to remember how that day felt. So I filmed it, I was in tears, and I shared that. And a lot of people were like, oh wow, that's very vulnerable. Yeah, it is very vulnerable, and it was a rubbish day. And but I pushed through, and I got through it. And I don't say it so that you should push through, but to show that everybody can have those days. We can feel bad. It's okay not to be okay, but what are we doing about it?
I mean, sharing something that's so vulnerable online, how do you make the decision of what to share, what not to share, so that you're still having a piece of yourself that's just good now?
Yeah, look, I am a very open person anyway, even amongst friends and family. I'm probably an oversharer as it is. But I think, when I decide what I'm sharing, it goes through a bit of a checklist internally. And the main thing is going to help somebody else.
Yeah.
If I share this, could it help somebody else? Yes. Okay. If I share this, is it going to help somebody else? No. Then what's my purpose? What am I doing this for? Is it for my own, vanity, or what's the point of this?
Yeah.
So it does have to kind of tick that box. Can it help somebody else? Can it inspire somebody else? Can it make somebody else feel seen? Okay, great. Then fine.
And then obviously having a platform and being socially active, whatever you want to call it, you obviously have a brand identity. That's Kat.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you as. Do you feel like you have to almost play character where you can't be 100% Kat?
No. I think I did at some point. Obviously over the 10, 12 years or whatever it is that I've been doing the digital media side of things, there was definitely a period of time where I felt like I was performing as opposed to being true to who I am. I did get to a point, and I will say, this is probably the least feminist thing to say, I do think that becoming a mother changed that for me, because it made me more true. Purely because I didn't want my children to see a performative version of me. I wanted them to know the real me, and I wanted them, if they looked online, to still see that same version, not a different version. So that, I think, helped a lot. And what's funny though, during the period of time where I probably felt the most performative, I think I struggled the most in even creating traction for myself, because it wasn't true. It didn't feel right. And the moment that I stopped trying to be whoever I thought everybody else wanted me to be, and I just started being me, that's when success actually came.
I really like that. I really like what you just said, that when you stop trying to basically appease everyone, that's when everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
It is social media on that hand. And there are a lot of people that have built their careers on this character that are super successful.
Persona. Yeah.
Persona, exactly. Do you think that maybe that's the wrong way to go?
Look, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way with social media. There's clear evidence that shows that some people who created this persona have done very, very well. And there's clear evidence to show the opposite as well. For me, I kind of fell into this place of people felt they could relate. So then I almost felt like a responsibility to continue to be relatable, in a sense that I should just be me, and that way people will relate to that, versus being unrelatable and showing things that are unachievable or unattainable, and other people then could relate to that. Yes, that can be aspirational for some people, but that's not who I am. I don't live in the world, especially currently, but I don't live in the world where I'm walking around with an Hermes bag and staying in crazy hotels or having luxury dinners. So why would I portray that?
Yeah.
Sure, I go to nice places. I like to dress nicely, etc. But at an attainable level. That's my reality. So that's what I should.
I mean, I always said something, especially in the foundational phases of empowerment, I say to my team, I never want a woman to look on social media and see me and say, oh, I want to be like her. I always wanted a woman to stop, like while she's scrolling, and see me and say, oh, I see myself in her.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be portrayed in a way that's like, I want to sell you a course in order to be successful. I want you to hear the stories that I've gone through, my vulnerabilities, my traumas, and hopefully that inspires you, like you said, to come forward and share your story, and also provide you the practical skills that you need in order to be the best version of yourself. And I feel like, I say this all the time, but social media is a facade.
Yes.
Everything that you see is control.
Yeah.
And when I say this, I'm always met with a little bit of criticism, and they don't fully agree with it, because yes, there are some people, like you said, they go online and then they just open the camera and they talk, but 9 out of 10
it's always still filtered though, in a sense of I don't have to share it if I don't want to, so of course it's controlled.
Yes, the caption is controlled. Some of it's scripted. You control if this allows you to reach. I always say that what you see online is not real, because at the end of the day, they are controlling the narrative.
It's the highlight reel, I call it.
Yes.
Yes, you can share some negatives as well, but ultimately it's still only the ones you want to share. You're not sharing every moment of your day. So.
And I feel like a lot of women, when they're online, because we are chronically online, as you know, and we compare ourselves to other women that we see online, whether that's, oh, I wish I had a body, or I wish I had a life, or I wish I could do what she does. And I don't like that. I feel like women should just, I can't speak because it's empowerment, but women should just accept where they are right now, water their own grass,
Yeah.
make sure that they're good instead of worrying on everyone else.
I think it's nice to be inspired by someone, but not to wish for their the same thing that I have necessarily. I think, yeah, feel good about it. Be like, that's amazing what they're doing. What can I do to achieve what I want?
Yeah.
Like this person.
Yeah.
That way. Yeah.
Because essentially, if they're comparing themselves to a life or person that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
It's a character.
Yeah. A lot
So-
of the time, yes.
They're never
Yeah.
going to end up in that stage because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like we just said, when you are a poised, put together
Yep.
platform, it's not always 100% that. You and
Yeah.
I both know, especially as a mom. Before I filmed last week's podcast, I was 12 minutes of sleep according to my day because I had kids with fevers in the middle of the night, catching vomit in my hand,
Yeah.
showing up 6 a.m.
Yeah. Before
planned,
makeup. Yeah.
and then headed into the podcast like nothing was wrong
Yeah.
while I'm running a fever. And as a woman, you just need to keep going. Like the show doesn't stop, you just need to keep going.
Exactly.
But all you see is the person
the end
showing-
result.
Yeah, the end result, the person showing up. And I always like to say that, like, basically when you compare yourself to someone you see online, you're looking at a 30-second clip
Yeah.
of when someone is trying in their car and then ending up in the parents' house, and you expecting that same 30-second turnover in your reality, when in fact that is not realistic
Possible.
at all. And you just need to make sure that what you're doing in your day-to-day is getting you one step closer to the life that you will be happy with.
Exactly.
Not,
Exactly.
not an audience, not your peers, not social media. Because at the end of the day, when you switch your phone off, those people aren't with you.
Exactly.
You're by yourself.
I think that's a huge thing in society, right? It should be what you want for you, not what you think everybody else thinks you should be doing for
Yes.
you, because that's not going to make you happy ultimately.
Exactly. And I'm sure that when you were in front of the camera, I mean, back when you said that
Yeah.
you felt like you were playing
Yeah.
a character,
Yeah.
a tag, I don't think you were as happy as what you are
No,
now, just
definitely
being you, being
Yeah.
Kat, being unfiltered, being
Yeah.
your authentic self.
But even the audience that I have didn't resonate with it because it wasn't as, again, authentic. So I used to do a lot of fashion content, and look, I'm still a huge fashion lover, absolutely.
I mean,
But
you
it
look
used to be
amazing.
very like staged, very posed, very, all of this kind of thing. And then I started to share content. For example, I suffered from alopecia. I started to share content about the fact that I was losing hair, and the amount of women, they were like, "My gosh, thank you so much for saying, thank you so much for sharing," because nobody talks about it, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, people really are feeling, drawn to that kind of content where they feel like they can see themselves in it, where they feel like somebody is willing to discuss the things that they haven't got anybody to discuss that with. Like, okay, sure, I don't mind discussing it. I'm not embarrassed. It is something that I would like to go away.
Yeah.
I'm looking at ways to do that. Maybe it will help you too.
Yeah.
And then in between, some fashion content too, but less stage, less pose, just me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm appreciative it's interesting that you mentioned this because especially with, the harder it's a year, it does
Yeah.
also affect your hair health. Everyone, all the women, why we speak about
Yeah.
this, and it's something that's like, it really is a day-to-day problem
Yeah.
that we're having.
People don't talk about it.
Exactly. And I feel like it's not really widely spoken about. And I know women, I'm probably guilty of it as well, finding every single route that you could take to make it look like a bit fuller,
Yeah.
more appealing.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
But it's never something that's like, oh yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have that too.
Yeah.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
Like it's always something that's like, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. And I don't like that. I feel like
Yeah,
we just-
we want to cover it up for
Yeah.
people to notice, so therefore we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want flaws.
Yeah.
And I feel like flaws what make us feel spontaneous, I think. Because I mean, you aren't going to look like a Victoria's Secret model every single day.
Yeah.
And that is not obtainable, it's not sustainable, and it's not realistic.
No,
Just be you, right?
Exactly.
Embrace all of your flaws, embrace who you are,
Yeah.
and the right people will guide you.
exactly. On that, I always find it interesting when people say, "Oh wow, you're so strong, you're like Superwoman." I almost take offense to that because no, I'm not. I'm not. Of course, I'm strong, sure, but I'm not Superwoman. And in fact, I'd really rather not be. I would like to be able to have weaknesses. I would like it to be okay to be seen to have
Mhm.
weaknesses. So, you're doing so much as a single mom, you've got so much on your plate. Wow, I don't know how you do it. Well, I do it because I have to
You
do
don't
it.
have another choice.
So it's not that I'm Superwoman, it's that life goes on and you've got to get on with it
Yeah.
in that particular frame of mind. But I can also do the best I can with what I've got, and that's all I do, right? So it's not a super woman thing,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, speaking of single moms, I feel like there's also, and I really don't know why, but there's still a very bad stigmatism.
Yeah, huge.
And you would have thought that it would have been, dismantled by now, but it's still very prominent in our day and age. When you say that you're a single mom, it's immediately like, you're met with judgment.
Yeah.
It's never like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, like, that's amazing.
Well, I do have some people that say, wow, there are, I think, a little bit more now, but there is still, I think, a stigma and some judgment from some elements of it. But some people, I guess, that see all the things that you're doing and see what you're trying to create, and they're like, oh, well, and you're raising 2 children.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So there is, I think, some support. I think it is getting better. And especially, I think, with more communities like Empowerment, with re.her, there are more women that are wanting to be supportive of each other and help each other and hype each other up.
Yes, I love that. But I mean, still, when they look at you, the first question is always like, a why?
Yeah.
Like, almost like there was a control factor.
Yeah.
And then because I'm a single mom, so I know, because I've dealt with this firsthand, it's almost the question, not in those words exactly all the time, but very similar. Why did you have kids if you knew that you were going to get this? How was I supposed to know?
You were supposed to have a crystal ball into the future.
Yes. How was I supposed to know that it would end up this way?
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, because of this existing stigmatism, women stay in very volatile situations
very
to
true.
avoid
Yeah.
being in that position.
Yeah.
And I think that, speaking from experience, I'd rather much be alone and happy than be together and miserable.
Likewise.
Because I could subject myself to that, environment and that treatment and just tolerate that purely out of the fact that I feel of people judging me. What are they going to say if I'm a single mom? How are they going to react to me? Are they going to want to talk to me or anything like that? So you put yourself and you stay stagnant in that position.
It's even the fear of, I'm a very social person, and it's even that fear, and this came up for me, of all of my couple friends. Will I now not be invited?
Yeah.
And I'm not a couple, right?
Yeah.
So, when I was initially going through my divorce, and all of our friends, our big solid group of friends are all families, couples. And so then am I just the odd one? And is it awkward for them now? Am I making this difficult for them?
Yeah.
So there's that kind of mentality as well. Eventually I thought, well, the ones that want me around will want me around.
Exactly.
One way or another. But on that, and I will touch on this because this was a big factor for me making my decision, I was extremely unhappy. And I believe that my kids felt that. And that really worried me about how much my unhappiness is therefore my day-to-day energy. And not just mine, but my ex-husband's was going to be affecting how they felt in their day-to-day. And, as a positive thing to share, my daughter is 11 now. And after I separated, so prior to being officially divorced, a few months after separation, she came and sat with me and gave me a hug and said, Mum, I think you made the right decision. She loves her dad, please don't get me wrong, it's not a mum versus dad thing. She said, I think you made the right decision, you just seem so much happier.
Mm.
She was 10 then, she's 11 now. Now for a 10-year-old to be able to look at an adult and think, oh wow, this was definitely good for her, because look at her thriving, or whatever she saw as the example of that for her. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm doing something right here, because that is the example I want for my children. Don't stay somewhere where you feel unhappy. And that's a very simple statement.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to that. But don't allow yourself to be stuck in something just because it's supposed to be what you did, right? Why can't, just like in business, why can't you change something? Of course you can. You've got to make different choices after that. There's going to be challenges. It's not a simple choice, but still can.
I love what you said about your daughter though, because as moms, like what they are exposed to, they are accepting as a whole. And I mean, my own experience when I was in an abusive marriage, obviously my 2-year-old had seen the violence at home.
They see so much more than we know as well.
And you would think, okay, she's 2, but she's probably not going to actually
Remember?
absorb this, and she won't remember it as she grows older. But I noticed recently after he passed away, and he was no longer in the picture at all, she was very angry still. And because there was more energy to focus on her, because I wasn't having to deal with that volatile situation, I picked up patterns and she was very aggressive, like very violent in a stage. For a 2-year-old, and it was, I couldn't understand why. She would throw tantrums all the time. She was like very aggressive with me, with the baby brother, with the nanny and everything. And it was only possibly like a year after he was out of the picture that I saw her like balancing out.
Yeah.
And now anyone meets my daughter, she's 4 years old, she's a complete diva, but she is one of the sweetest, most respectful little girls in the entire world. Well mannered, well spoken, kind,
You did that. Be proud of that.
because I wasn't aware that with her being even in the same environment and being exposed that she was absorbing it. And then I realized by actually letting go and taking that step and that courage to say like, I don't want her to be exposed to this and I don't have to accept this anymore.
Yep.
And how much positive impact came after that. After making that work decision that you deserve better and that you want better for your children.
Exactly.
How everything else just falls into place after that.
Exactly.
And I mean, a lot of the women don't ever get to experience that because they stay in those environments, like we said, purely out of fear. What would you say to any women in that situation?
There's something to be said for trying if you feel that there is something to try for. Because, I'm also not here to say to every woman, you're a little bit unhappy, off you go. But at the same time, if you know that the only reason that you're there, or if you think the only reason that you're staying in your marriage is because you think it might be best for your children, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. What's best for your children is 2 happy parents.
Yes.
Whether that's together or separately, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In my opinion. What's also not great for your children is 2 parents who are staying together and creating friction and creating negative energy and teaching your children or essentially creating an environment for your children that they then think that's the normality for the rest of their life. What I didn't want for my kids is to see what my marriage was and then take that into their future and believe that that's what normal marriages look like.
Yes.
That's what love looks like.
Yes.
So that was really important to me. And I think if you break that down as a woman in your own situation, are you happy with your children believing that that is what things should look like for themselves?
Yeah.
And if they were you and you were their mother and they told you what they were going through, what would you tell them?
Yeah.
Would you tell them to stay? Or would you tell them to make better decisions for themselves and for their family?
I mean, speaking on the fact that it's a small step for what you're exposed to, what you see as I mean, I know that probably due to the fact that my mother stayed in relationships that were abusive and cheating and infidelity and all of that, I then saw that as normal growing up. And when I ended up in relationships and in a marriage that had those same ideologies moved into it, I just accepted the fact that this is life, this is normal because it's all I've been exposed to. So I just accepted, okay, you know what, I can stay. If I had someone in my corner to show me like this, that's not all.
You don't have to be this. This doesn't have to be this way.
You don't have to accept that. There's a whole other world out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay here. You have your whole life ahead of you. I would have probably had the courage in order to leave a lot sooner than what I did. And like we were speaking earlier about the seminars that's what I wanted for, because all it takes is one person to tell you that, but you deserve better. This is how you can have better. It changes an entire woman's life after that. What you're doing now with re.her is exactly that same philosophy, is speaking about something so that a woman knows that I don't have to accept this.
Yeah.
This doesn't have to be normal. This doesn't have to be shameful. This is something that can be comfortable in order to speak about openly.
Exactly.
And I think that you are doing an amazing job thus far. Thank you. Very open online, you're very expressive on your platform, but is there anything that we don't know about that you could have always wanted to share?
Look, I think I do share quite a lot of my life on my own personal platform and now obviously on re.her as well. So I don't think there's anything additional that isn't already there. I've shared about my sister's illness. I've shared about my lots of personal struggles along the way. When I was going through my separation, I didn't share that. I felt like it was a bit of a tricky one at the time. You're still kind of figuring out what that looks like, and you don't want social media things where it might come back to your children and they have to have discussions about it. So I wasn't super open initially. I am much more open about it now because I now know that my kids are in a really great place and we talk really openly about everything. So I don't feel like there's anything that they're going to see now that they don't already know from me.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think there's anything extra that I would share that you don't already know. But keep watching because you never know what comes out later.
I love that. I love that. Okay, before I let you go, I want you to do rapid fire now.
Sure.
Right? You answer first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Your daily non-negotiable habit for hormone health.
Movement.
I'm saying that as someone that has to urge to get the steps in. So yes. I know.
Movement in any way that it comes to. It doesn't have to be 10,000 steps. It doesn't have to be at the gym. It doesn't have to be Pilates. What does movement mean to you?
Yeah.
Dance around your living room.
How do you like this?
When you cook your dinner, wiggle a little. Just move.
Yeah.
Get the blood flowing. Make yourself happy.
I like that. Okay. Melbourne or Dubai for a weekend? Not for life.
For a weekend?
Yeah.
Still Dubai.
Oh, Melbourne?
No.
Even if that's the hometown friends?
Well, for a quick visit to the friends, sure.
Okay.
But I think in terms of if I'm saying it for other people, for what you want to see and do, Dubai has so much more to offer.
And it has everything. It's so convenient.
Look, I'm a Dubai girl. You know, I will always love Australia, but Dubai definitely has my heart.
Yeah.
You know, almost 22 years here now. I genuinely can't see myself living somewhere else.
No.
This is home.
We've just become spoiled here as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Honestly.
yes and no. You know, I don't live a luxury Dubai life. I live a really average life here, and I love that.
We downplay the luxury that anything can be delivered to your door.
Yes, okay, true. That is
Two
very
minutes.
luxurious. That's
Yes.
true. It's true.
And we view that as
Yeah.
like a norm.
Yeah,
But it's very,
Yeah, you're
it's a luxury.
true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, sleep or the gym, if you could only have one. This
Sleep. Even after I just told you that movement
Yeah.
is important.
Now, as a mom, you're always tired.
Always, yeah.
I would always vote sleep. Okay. Most overrated wellness trend.
Ooh, overrated. Whoa, I'm gonna contradict myself a little bit and say cold plunges, but what I mean by that is the really, really, really ice cold cold plunges. Cold plunges are still very good.
I thought you were going to say the LED masks.
Oh no, I find them beneficial. I like
Really?
those. Yeah, if they're at the right frequency
Yes.
with the red light.
Yes.
If not, then it's just a rubbish.
Because I've heard a lot
thing,
about
yes.
this recently
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. You've got to have the right nanos or whatever it's called
Yes.
for it to actually be beneficial. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. The last thing that you Googled at 2 a.m.
I have to move house in a few months, so I was googling furniture. Because
Interesting.
I'm a planner, so I'm already trying to figure out what things, what
What
I'm
I
going to place
need,
and what
how
I
do I
need.
get this? What do I like?
Yeah.
At 2 a.m.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, but
Well,
this
2
one-
a.m. last night I was doing that, and I was creating content for re.her.
I love this.
Yeah.
We are focused. Okay. Coffee. Non-negotiable or the first thing that had to go?
No, I have to have coffee. And again, I'm a Melbourne girl. Like, we don't survive without coffee. But it's not the first thing I have in a day anymore. I plan my day a little bit differently so that I don't have the highs and the spikes.
Yeah,
and lows. Yeah. But it's a must.
But it's still, I need this.
Absolutely.
Function. Okay.
Absolutely.
I was about to say, because I'm I need coffee before I can speak.
So I was.
Yeah.
So now I start my day with electrolytes.
Yes.
And that was a piece of advice given to me by a lovely woman called Laura. And she said, why aren't you starting your day with electrolytes? I said, I have them in the afternoon, so I don't get the afternoon slump. She said, we can start with them in the morning, then you don't get any of the slump throughout the day.
Yeah.
But that's a really good point. So now it's electrolytes first. Once I've finished all of the electrolytes, I have a coffee with something to eat.
Oh, okay. So we figured out the cheat code.
There's a method to the madness.
I
Yeah.
shall try this.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, best business advice that you've ever been given.
Ooh. Stay true to your vision.
Love that. Love that. Worst business advice that you've ever been given.
More is more.
I like that. One woman whose brain that you'd love to borrow for a day.
Oof. Oh, that's a hard one. To borrow, not
Yeah.
go into. So I'd like to see inside a lot of women's brains. But if I were to borrow someone's brain, actually, you know what? I'm going to say my lovely friend Jessica Smith, who is an advocate for diversity. She has an incredible work ethic and an incredible business acumen. And I think she's doing some really incredible things. And I always am just like, what's next for you? Like, what's happening here? So yeah,
I wish I could just have more, just for one day.
very intelligent person.
I would have said only movie. Ooh, you know, the founder of Bumble.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah, she had some
woman.
really good ideas there. Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that she did what she did with Tinder and then used those ideas in order to scale Bumble.
Yeah.
As in like
What do
a
we think of Bumble?
let's save that for after the episode. Okay. I'll tell you my views, you tell me yours. Okay. Something that you were certain about at 30 that you now think is nonsense.
Okay. The idea of balance in life. It's rubbish. It's not achievable.
Yes.
It's not achievable. Some days my profession needs more from me. Some days my children need more from me. Some days I need more from me. At no point are all three in balance.
Yes.
No chance.
I love this. I say this all the time that you can. It's not realistic to be perfect in every single area of your life. Sometimes things are going to take a knock, and that's just life.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. You don't have to be a fantastic mom, a successful business owner, a good friend, and a good partner all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you're not.
Some things are going to suffer when you're trying to focus on other things. That's how life is.
Exactly. You have to give to get. And I feel like that's so widely known, but no one actually says that's normal. You don't have to be great all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you have to be perfect every single second of your life. But Kat, it's been amazing to have you in the podcast today.
So lovely.
Before I let you go, if this is the only podcast that a woman listens to for the entire year, what would you want us to take away from this conversation?
You have choices in everything. In professional life, in personal life, in motherhood, you have choices. So choose what works for you.
Thank you, Kat. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. And I can't wait to see what you're building next.
Thanks so much.
If you'd like to connect with Kat, her details will be listed in the description below. This has been Karpool, Kirsten about empowerment. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next in my class will see. And until then, remember, always advocate for what you believe in. The right people will gravitate to you. See you next time. Okay, team, let's roll out.